So I wanted to share this script, and it's a brick array that creates a box. This was mostly for 3D printing. I wanted to create like a parametric design that has bricks and has some mortar and some gaps in between, and also the ability to round the edges off. So I'll be going over all of the steps here. Now, I'm not going to create the whole script. I'll just go over the overview of it, but I will have it on my YouTube portion of my website, and then I will optimize it just in case you want to download it that way. So let's jump in and take a look at how this was created. So what I did here at the end is I gave it some color to preview it, but I'm going to disable the preview on everything, and also enable this draw preview geometry for selected objects. This way I can just go in here and select the object, and it will actually give me the preview. So this is a way where I don't have to turn it on and off. I could just kind of select it and hold shift to see that specific component and what it does to the geometry. So let's start with the brick segment. I started with a rectangle, and this rectangle has a specific dimensions, right? So that's going to be the size of your brick. Right now we have 44 by 16, and this is also tied to the Y direction, and it's also tied to the height. So this means that whatever the Y size is the same as the height. We can always change that. But that's something to keep in mind. After that, what I did was, let's see here. After the box was then deconstructed, so then I could get basically, so I could take that module of that box, and this is chamfering the edges, but we could also change this from 0 to 0, and that will be a fillet where it'll just round it off. The reason for this is because that is one of the things that I wanted. I could definitely just go turn this to 0, and it'll just give me a perfectly square box. So let's do that. Change this to 0. And now when we take a look here, we have this box, but we can always change this. And also change this. Okay, so now after that, I moved it, right? So arraying it in one dimension, that's in the X direction. Then after that, rotated relative to this point. Once that was rotated, it was then put together into this component, and then rotated and moved twice over. So it was rotated, and then once it was rotated, then it was moved. So it was moved up, and it was moved up the same amount of the array. So whatever it was moved in the X direction multiplied by 3, and we can see that here. Next is going to be moving that to create the box. So now that the box is created, it's all put together into this component, and then it's moved up by one module, which means that whatever the height is, it was moved up that much. And then there was a center point extracted, so it could be mirrored, and we have now this and this module. So now we have two stacks. Once we have those two, then they were arrayed in the Z direction by multiplying the height of the brick times 2, and that being the step height, which gave us this with the count of 3. So now it's going to array this 2 segments up 3 times. And also, we have the ability to take these bricks and scale them relative to the center. So right here, I'm just scaling these down, and this is how we can create a gap in between. So this would be where the mortar is going to be. Now let's give this a 0.2 or a 0.9. Now with that, we have an outside box, and this outside box is also scaled down to give us our final result here. Now, one of the things I made sure to do, so now I'm going to disable the preview on this, or preview this and disable the preview on the rest of the stuff, including this one. You'll see that now we have this and this, which is going to be the outside. So these are going to be the bricks, and this is going to be the mortar, and that's determined by this scale. So now let's bring back all of the colors, disable the preview here, and preview. Now we have the ability to play around with the size of the bricks. I'll do 0.95. And we can play around with the scale of the mortar, right? So we could do it right at the face, or bring it in a little bit. And here, it's a bit of a weird thing, but I wanted to create a twist. So I went, let's twist this by 15. So what it's doing is it has a center axis, and now we can take this and also turn it. I'm not going to do that for this one, but let's go back to our blend and change this to 1. And this is what I had before. So let's go back here and change the radii and increase it. So I'll do 1.5. I'll come down here and change the scale. If you bring this to 1, and then for this one, it's going to be a little bit more subtle. Bringing this out like this. So with this, what's cool is I wanted to be able to take the final result, which is going to be these two, middle click and bake. Now let's go here in Rhino, and I want to show you what I did to finalize it. So now that I have this and the bricks, what I did is I took this and I first extracted the face of this by, I'll go to this new layer and do duplicate face border. I'll select the top face and hit enter. This way I have a polyline that is the exact outside face of the mortar. And now what we could do is take everything and put it together. So I'll do Boolean union. So BU, enter. And now we can take this and offset it to give it some thickness if you're 3D printing this like I did. So I'll offset this by 1.2. And I'll take this and extrude it down to the bottom. So I'll do extrude curve. I'll delete that curve, and then I'll move this up by 2. Now I could take this Boolean difference, the inside, and we have a perfectly solid brick box. And so I'll show you at the end here what it looks like rendered, and also show you a print that I did. Now the one that I did had like larger density, but it's still kind of cool to be able to see, you know, the script 3D printed. So if you have any questions, make sure to let me know. Like I said, I'll have this on my YouTube portion of the website, and then I'll put it onto the optimized scripts. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you next time.